Welcome back. You're listening to Get Real, and I'm your host, Bob Gallagher. I'm joined in the studio today by my co-host, Aaron Thomason, and our special guest today, Gerry Boniello, President and CEO of Omnium Protection Group. Welcome to the show, Gerry.
Thank you, sir. Great to be here. Hello, Aaron.
Hello.
So we asked you to join us today to talk about a little bit about your business, but more about being an entrepreneur. Can you kind of give us a little bit of background on how you got started as an entrepreneur?
Sure. I'm originally from New York. I moved into Massachusetts when I was 20 years old. I started in the corporate security field, and I was a larger individual. I did a little competitive bodybuilding back in the day, so I was placed in situations that I really didn't have any business being into. So over the years, security, because that was not really the avenue I thought I was going to follow, I've always had this entrepreneurial spirit, which is when you see something, I'm automatically looking at how it can be improved. That's everything. Right. So I've always felt like a lot of businesses are lacking something, and so I've always felt like I can build the better mousetrap. So that's taken me on a journey over, so now I'm 51. It's taken me on a journey for 31 years, basically. Wow. Where I've owned and currently still do own a few of these businesses, which are in the health club industry. I had 3 gyms. I currently have 2 now. I actually had 4. I tried a frozen yogurt shop in the great city of Worcester, Massachusetts, which did not fare very well. But a friend of mine is ridiculously successful in this industry, and convinced me to give it a go. Probably just the wrong place to put it. Yeah. But other than that, I did some. I had a personal training company way back in the day, and so I've tried a couple of little things here and there. Tried to do a T-shirt company at one point, supporting a colleague of mine who wanted to do that. So little things here and there, and really I kept going back to security because it's just something that I don't know if I have a passion for it, but I have a passion to build a great business, and this is something that I do very well. I'm not I'm not skilled in a lot of other areas. I mean, my modeling career is not good. As you can see, I have a face for radio. But it's something that I take a lot of pride in. I work with great people, and I think this is where I excel, and I'm fortunate to be in the position that I'm in right now. Excellent.
Can you give us a little bit of background on your company?
Sure. My company is called Omnium Protection Group. It's kind of a transition of this company. I owned a company back in 2000. I started it. It was called Corporate Resources Group. We were located in Boston. So I had Corporate Resources Group with a couple of partners, and over the years, over the 12-year span, partners left, and in 2012, the market was right. Things were in my life were a little. I was going through divorce, and I just needed to, I think, take a step away from business ownership. So I sold the company to a Nevada-based corporation, who I worked for as their vice president of business development and operations over in the East Coast here. Did that for 4 years. They had a different philosophy, a different mindset on business as we do. I like to think that when we bring people into our organization, it's more like a family. We bring them in, and so they just had a different philosophy. So in 2016, I decided that I wanted to try it on my own again. So I left the organization, opened this company. Fortunately, because of the great work that my people do, we had taken over 100% of the contracts that we had. We've taken over 100% of the personnel. And really, so I like to think of this company as just an extension of my original company. And so we just celebrated our 3rd year in business July 6th. And right now we have probably 75 to 85 employees. Oh, wow. That provides everything from, we have a couple of different buckets. So one of them would be the executive protection piece, which is really how this company was formed and started 19 years ago, providing executive protection and for celebrities, for executives, for CEOs, for at-risk individuals. We have that. Then we have another segment, which is more of a hospitality-type security. So they work in some of the larger, more well-known hotels in Massachusetts, in the city of Boston, and the surrounding Boston area. So we provide the suit and tie security element, whether it's full-time. We have several full-time hotels, which we provide 24/7, 365. We have others that we provide part-time, overnight, and others we just do some of their events. And then we have one of the growing segments of our organization is faith-based institutions, such as Jewish educational institutions, synagogues, because of the
anti-Semitic stuff that's been happening lately
because
all over.
Because of the targeted violence towards the Jewish community. This has become a very large segment of what we're doing. So it's it's definitely unfortunately like a lot of things that we do. It's a needed service.
Right. You also mentioned that you did some government contracting work in your past career. Can you share any general details about that?
Yeah, sure. So I was fortunate enough. Now I have a very unique background. I don't have any genuine law enforcement background or military background for that matter. But because of the quality of the work that I've done over the years, especially when I was in my younger years, you meet people in this industry, in my industry, executive protection. A lot of it is who you know. And so I was fortunate enough to work with a lot of very successful and well-experienced individuals who took a liking to me and brought me on a couple of very interesting contracts. One of them was in Haiti, and one of them was in Afghanistan. So I worked in those two areas of operation for a while, and that's when I came back to the U.S. and started. At the time, it was Corporate Resources Group in 2000. So, interesting places to be. The money was great. The scenery not so much.
Yeah,
but it was a good time and really gave me an understanding of what other cultures are. I think travel is very important. I think more people need to travel outside of the U.S. to understand just how fantastic this country is and such an abundance of resources. And it's very sad when you go to these other countries and a quick story is so when I was in Haiti. We had a maid and a houseboy, and we shared a room. An apartment. There was 3 of us out of a team of I think 9 or 12 of us. So 3 of us shared an apartment, and we had a houseboy and a maid. The maid made $120 a month. The houseboy made $60 a month.
Wow!
And that was a 6-day-a-week, a 6-day-a-week job. So the houseboy called him Smiley because he was smiling all the time. And so I drove him one day to his house after work. I was heading in that direction. So he invited me in. No door, just a curtain on a cinder block room, maybe 4 times the size of this room here. So maybe, the size of a 2-car garage. And everybody was smiling and happy and, no carpeting, a stove in the middle of everything, no restroom to speak of, but yet one of the happiest guys in the world and making $60 a month. It was, when you see those kinds of things, it really gives you an appreciation for things. And then, you come back to the U.S., you live really good, and you forget about all those things,
Everybody takes it for granted.
Absolutely. It really is, yeah. And I'm just as guilty as a lot of
well, it's easy to do.
It is easy to do, unfortunately. But those are the times when I look back and I think about those times in in these other foreign countries that where you see the level of poverty and you see the closeness of the family unit, and it's something that's it's something to be envied in a way.
Absolutely. Those assignments that you were on, were those long term? Were you away for long periods of time, or was it in and out?
They were longer term assignments.
Oh, so you had to be away for a while.
Yes.
That must have been tough.
I think in this business you get used to it, and after a while you just you really just sort of acclimate to it. My first weekend, I think my first month in Afghanistan, actually, I was trying to keep myself and my surroundings. I lived in a trailer, so I had a trailer out in the middle of nowhere. And think about Afghanistan as if you just drop somebody in the middle of Afghanistan. You would think that they were like 2,000 years ago. I mean, the place is just
wow.
Yeah, it's really it's pretty unbelievable. And so, the first couple of weeks, I was trying to keep my trailer clean. I was dusting it every day. I mean, I was trying to keep myself clean. Showering, shaving every day. And after the first month, I just said, no, I'm done with all of this. And then I just kind of went with it. Then it was sleeping in my clothes because you have to, more or less, because you never know when you need to jump out of bed. Sleeping in my clothes, showering every couple of 3 or 4 days. It was just, you're working 16 hours a day in the field, and the last thing that you're concerned about is really your looks.
Yeah. Wow. Now, do you do a lot of traveling now in your role with Omnium?
I don't do as much as I used to. I do some traveling, but that's only for select clients most of the time because I am the president of the organization. I do stay put in Boston. And if there is travel, depending upon where it is, we'll either send our team out there, or we'll use vetted vendors that we have relationships with. But I do a lot of national travel, just because I'm attending a lot of conferences and networking events. So I'll be in Vegas in a couple of weeks. It'll be the third time, I think, this year in Vegas. Then I'll be in Florida and D.C. and Chicago. So, I mean, there's a lot of national travel.
Yeah. So getting back to your business, or running a business in general, can you share with us some of the challenges you've had over the years, or say the parts of the job that you could do without? Because we all have them. Anybody that's an entrepreneur has things that we really wish we didn't have to be bothered with, but...
Well, I think if we didn't have employees or customers, we'd be in good shape. But I think the biggest problem with being an entrepreneur these days is definitely the issue with employment and the quality of people. Unfortunately, as I get older, I'm becoming that person that I used to look at when I was younger and say, "Why are you such a grouch?" And now I understand why they were so grouchy. And it's mainly because when you're an entrepreneur, and in my business, in the security business, we take it very seriously. People come to us with legitimate concerns, and we provide them solutions and promises. And I make promises and guarantees and via my word. You'll get this. We'll do a great job. And then when you have these, unfortunately, the younger generation and even some of the more retired generations, some of these folks just don't have that level of dedication, enthusiasm. There's a real sense of entitlement these days, and it's with any industry.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just mine. It's with any industry, and so you see that, and it's very difficult because you put your blood, sweat, and tears into something, and then you say to someone, "You're going to represent me. I'm putting my faith in you that you're going to represent me in the manner that I would represent you," and then they come up short very often, and it's really disappointing because you really put a lot of trust in these people.
Right.
And you sit there and you talk to them, and you look at them in the eye, and you shake their hand, and you tell them, if you have any issues, I want you to come to me. And instead, they don't.
Right.
So it's disappointing. That I think is the biggest hurdle right now with being an entrepreneur. And
I think everybody that's self-employed has that same exact issue.
Yeah, and it's made me.
And it's probably not new, honestly.
No, it's probably not. But I'd like to think, and I don't know, but I would think years and years ago, 20 or 30 years ago, I was around a lot of great people that seemed to really have a lot more enthusiasm, dedication, and loyalty to what they were doing. And this time, at this point in time, I don't see that. And, it is disappointing. But it's made me really rethink, the entrepreneurial journey. Because I could say, I could work for just myself as a consultant and never have to worry about, waking up and what issues or what fires. So I like to say that more than anything else, I'm like a fireman because I wake up every day and all I do is really put out fires. But that being said, we have an amazing core team of people that make it worthwhile to do what we do. And then when the clients are happy, when the team is happy, when we do something that's very successful, it's a great feeling. And I have a great team of people. I'm very fortunate, and so.
So as far as your team of people go, and your desire to build the better mousetrap, what makes Omnium different than, say, your national, provider?
Well, we are boutique, and so that lends itself to investing more on the quality of the service and the personnel. So as a smaller boutique company, you can be much more selective with who you hire. We look for people that have either a military or a law enforcement background, or have been doing private security for some time. That's not to say that we can't take somebody who hasn't, and because we have different areas, we can place them in more of what we'd like to say is an entry-level position. But we focus heavily on quality. And so we don't want to be that large company that loses focus on quality, loses focus on what makes us successful, which is bringing in people, treating them more like family than just a number. I'm seeing that as we're growing, that we're not intentionally, but sort of losing a little of that. So we just actually had a corporate meeting yesterday and talking about refocusing on the quality aspect of it. At one point in time, because we were much smaller, I knew everybody's name, but now it's a little more difficult. And so we focus on quality. We focus on the training, which is tremendously important. A lot of the other security vendors that are out there, what they'll do is, you have a pulse, great, we'll hire you, and we'll assign you here. But we spend a lot of money and time on training people, and it's something that in our industry you have to have, because when things go sideways, people are going to look to security, and if security is not a well-trained and well-oiled machine, they're just going to be another part of that chaos, and that doesn't help anybody.
Right. And we're just about out of time, Gerry. Can you, for anybody that's listening right now that is looking for more information on you and your company, what's the best way to go about getting that?
Yeah, sure. So you can take a look on the interweb at www, of course, I don't even think I have to say that, omniumpg.com. That's OMNIUMPG.com for Omnium Protection Group.
Excellent. I want to thank you for joining us today. We've loved having you on the show. Thank you as well, Aaron. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with more Get Real after this.